and gagging clauses that stop employees exposing sexual harassment is set to be banned. And we're going to read into this exclusive from the iPaper, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here, an exclusive from the iPaper with the headline that gagging clauses that stops employees exposing sexual harassment is set to be banned. The government will look more closely at possible new laws which would prohibit the widespread use of non-disclosure agreements or NDAs. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. Yeah, I absolutely... there are certain cases where NDAs are okay, but there are many times where they are used when it's absolutely quite pathetic, especially when everybody knows who it is in a certain case or a story, and yet the papers can't say it, but everyone on social media can say who it is. It's pretty embarrassing. I remember there was a story ages ago about, I think it was like Ryan Giggs on something that he had, or there was a politician or something, and inside Parliament, obviously they can expose who that person is. I mean, it's a joke. It can be a real joke, yeah, on some of these cases. But obviously this particular one here, those who have been sexually harassed and then they get offered a lot of money and then they're told to sign this NDA so they can't say anything about it, and it's just like, then they have to play the guilt trip. They put that guilt on people who have had them or know people that have had them, and it affects their consciousness and it can affect them mentally, their mental health as well. This is something that needs to be, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm very glad that they are looking into this, and this is something that needs to be dealt with. Far too much power that people with, especially employers and especially people who have a lot of money, they have far too much power, and just trying to silence people who have been subjugated to any kind of sexual harassment, especially lots of women, of course. This needs to stop, and I'm all for something like this, guys. So let's read more into this. So employers are facing a ban on using non-disclosure agreements to silence workers' complaints about sexual harassment, bullying, and other allegations of misconduct. So the Minister in charge of working rights legislation currently before Parliament has said government will look more closely at possible new laws which would prohibit the widespread use of NDAs and gagging clauses against employees who suffer from mistreatment. Justin Matters added that the issue needs attention. It follows the introduction of a clause banning the use of NDAs by universities, which the government has this week confirmed will go ahead as part of its Higher Education of Speech Act reenacted by the Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson. Liberal Democrat MP Layla Moran had proposed an amendment to the Employment Rights Bill that would avoid any NDAs which prevent an employee from making a disclosure about harassment or bullying. The government said it was too widely drawn, claiming some workers wanted confidentiality would not be protected. So the Lib Dems added an amendment to the Employers' Rights Bill which regarding to this, but instead of... So the government said they were claiming that workers who wanted confidentiality would not be protected from this. This is basically Labour saying we're not going to add this amendment. What we're going to do instead is we're going to do something else separately so that we can take the credit for it. This is them. This is political point scoring here, so that Lib Dems don't get credit for this, which is hence why we're seeing this story now. But during discussions on the bill in the committee stage, Matters suggested to MPs that she wanted to find a more workable amendment that could be backed by the government. Zelda Perkins, who founded the Can't Buy My Silence after speaking out about an NDA previously imposed on her by her former boss Harvey Weinstein, had told the iPaper the enactment of the ban on university gagging clauses mean the rest of the workforce was now behind. She said, if this were put forward, banning the misuse of NDAs in the Employment Rights Bill, it would be an enormous positive step for Labour, showing that they are taking steps to protect all rights of workers, not just women. Now that the Higher Education Freedom of Speech Bill is being reenacted, with the amendment on NDAs going through unchanged, it is setting a positive precedent. However, this action effectively leaves her workforce outside and academia unprotected. So it is key that this amendment is reflected in the Employment Rights Bill. Matters had told the Public Bill Committee on Wednesday that the government are looking into this, restricting the use of NDAs, And there is obviously some evidence. And there was a government consultation under the previous Tory administration, but that was some time ago, and we intend to look more closely at what we can do in this area. I have met some of the interesting parties, and there are other proposals to deal with this issue that might be slightly more workable than those in the new clause proposed by the Liberal Democrat spokesperson. Madders said that while the government was not able to support the Lib Dems amendment in its current form, we are aware of this issue and know it needs attention. At the moment, workers who leave their jobs after a complaint are often made to sign NDAs, which prevent them speaking out, allowing the perpetrators to remain unsanctioned. ACIA's, the employment arbitration system, advises against the use of NDAs in cases of sexual harassment, but this is only guidelines and it's not legally enforceable. Morgan, the Lib Dem MP who tabled her party's amendment out to outlaw NDAs, says she has been first approached by young women at Oxford University who have been asked to sign gagging clauses by their colleges after complaining about incidents of sexual harassment. Yeah, because you know why? Because they don't want their reputation being tarnished by them. That's the problem. And these NDAs need to be dealt with. They need to be dealt with because the businesses are more concerned about their reputations rather than the victims in these cases. She says the effects were indescribable, and in one case even stopped a young woman talking to her GP. Wow, that's just wrong. The Lib Dem MP for Oxford West and Alberton had added, NDAs and gagging clauses are endemic across all walks of life and sectors of the economy. They are used, often unthinkable or even unknowingly, to silence victims. While there is much work to do to tackle violence against women and girls in the UK, and in particular access to support service, clamping down on these gagging clauses is a vital first step. The Employment Rights Bill is a golden opportunity to prevent victims of harassment in the workplace from being silenced. The government has already committed to banning universities from using NDAs in case of sexual misconduct, harassment and bullying, and it's time to extend these protections to other sectors. I was pleased to see ministers commit to looking at this issue in more detail, but I will continue to campaign for an effective ban, and I want to see government action taken to bring this practice to an end for good. Perkins added, before Labour got in, I had a very high hopes that this change would be a shoo-in. It is, after all, a free amendment. There is no money to spare, and this won't cost them anything, but it will have a huge impact. It's an absolute slam dunk for the Workers' Party, because this would strengthen protections for all workers. This would not just affect sexual harassment, it would uphold the integrity of law and stop law being used to hide harm for whatever form it comes. I can only encourage Justin Madders, who in 2023 said she felt this area had fallen victim to government innuendos on employment rights, to take a clear step forward and implement this also in the European Employment Rights Bill. So a government spokesperson has said this government is on the side of working people. Our landmark European Rights Bill will deliver the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation. We are aware of concerns about the misuse of NDAs to intimidate and silence victims of crime and other types of misconduct such as harassment, discrimination and bullying. We are ensuring that victims of criminal behaviour can report a crime and address confidential advice and support without fear of legal action. And we will set our position on any amendments to the bill in Parliament. I will say that, when we, especially the whole Harvey Weinstein case, he had made a lot of women, sign NDAs and whatnot to keep quiet about what he was doing. But in the end, it all came out. But there are some people who still cannot, to this day, say anything because they have signed NDAs. And it's wrong. It's wrong that they are being used like this. That those who know that there are injustices, grave injustices, and not just sexual harassment, but any of these misdeeds and misguides, are being forced to sign these to protect the business, protect the image of businesses or colleges or whatever it might be, so that it's not exposed to saying, oh, a sexual harassment case took place at this college or at this workplace or whatever, because they don't want their reputation to be, they don't want their reputation to be damaged. They're afraid of bad publicity. Well, I'm sorry, but bad publicity needs to happen. If you have to have bad publicity to expose someone within your workforce who is doing something that they should not be doing, that needs to be happened. People need to know, hey, this happened. But it doesn't mean to say that it doesn't mean to say that people won't go to that college or don't work in that workplace in the future. It's about accepting what's happened and taking ownership and responsibility for what happened. The person who perpetrated this faces action for this. Faces punishment for this, and the victim is given compensation and everything that and all the support that that person needs, whether it is sexual harassment, bullying, negligent, whatever it might be. But making them sign NDAs to keep it hush, hush, quiet, quiet, just so that it doesn't damage their reputation, is really cruel on the victim. Really, really cruel on the victim, because they have to sit there knowing that they will never get any kind of accountability whatsoever for that case, and that needs to change. And that needs to change to protect work, as it says, protecting all workers. So what do you guys think? What do you guys make of NDAs? What do you guys make of the situation around them? Do you believe that the government will, while it says they are looking more closely, do you believe that the government will do more about this? Let me know your thoughts and more on this story down in the comments section below. If you found this video informative and helpful to you, please hit that like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, because it really does help support the channel. If you want to go one step further and financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.